discussing the possibility of renewal in the post-war conditions after World War II. He raised the question, can the Christian church be warmed a third time? He says every Christian would answer, yes. But we shouldn't answer too quickly and too easily. Because, as he says, on the outcome of that question and the answer that's given may well depend the future of humanity. We believe in a profound way that in the heart of the Christian gospel are answers to the future of humanity, dignity, liberty, responsibility, and 100 other issues. So whether we're able to enter the public square freely, and whether we're able to present a case faithfully and persuasively, goes back to whether we solve the issues that we're discussing with our important discussion today. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Oz. Certainly nothing muddle-headed about the clarity of that presentation. I will say, as someone who works for an organization called Cardus, which is the Cardo Maximus, the Latin equivalent of Greek agora, I obviously was appreciative of the public square sort of allusions and metaphors, almost thinking that you were subtly, sneaking in a Cardus commercial on our behalf. But I'll slip the check later. Our second presenter this morning is someone we met yesterday afternoon, a European politician, statesman, and philosopher, Rocco Briccoloni. We had the opportunity to listen to his fascinating presentation on the nature of religious identity and its connection to human rights, and how genuine discourse requires integrity and commitment in living up to promises. Now, I've not had the opportunity to meet Mr. Briccoloni before this conference. That doesn't mean I don't know him. Google search tells you wonderful stories. And there are many, too many to share here. But not least of his credentials is a biography of Pope John Paul II, to whom Mr. Briccoloni has served as a friend and a counselor. And the book outlines Pope John Paul's significant contribution to the development of Catholic social thought and human rights in our modern context. And I think it reflects not only the subjects, but also the author's expertise in this area. So it's a privilege for us to have you with us today and to share some of that expertise as we think about what a global Christian witness might look like. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rocco.
Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, I must give you, first of all, a forewarning. You know, I am an Italian, and Italians are always too talkative. I happen to be a politician, and you know how long can politicians talk. And I am a professor, worst of all. So an Italian who is a professor and a politician can be a real disgrace of God. Please, before you fall asleep, tell me, and I stop speaking. God is authorized to give me an appropriate counsel. By the way, yesterday I talked to Todd and I said to him, listen, I had already realized what I had to do up to now, up to yesterday, but I have not understood what I have to do tomorrow. And he told me, well, the issue is the mission of the Christian in the world of today. And I said, yes. And this night I thought it over and I said, the mission of the Christian. Who am I? I am somehow quoting Pope Francis. Who am I to tell you what is the mission of the Christian today in Poland? I do not pretend that. I shall just tell you what I am doing. The things that I see, the problems that I see. The first one I have already outlined yesterday. It is the problem of conscience. The beginning is conscience. someday perhaps I shall write an article on conscience and the error of Descartes. Is Descartes still a concept in the United States?
Yes.
More or less. Good. You all remember the cogito ergo sum of Descartes. What is the error? Do you agree? If you read the autobiography of Descartes that he gives us in the first part of his Discours de la Méthode, what is striking is that there are no women. He seems not to have had a wife, never had, not to have had daughters. He had one, but was not very significant in his life. And to the most striking, he seems not to have had a mother. How could I doubt the existence of my wife, of my mother, of my daughter? Conscience is still as something that exists in itself, springs out of nothing. And that's to a certain extent the modern idea of conscience. But it is not so. Conscience arises in a relation. We become conscious of ourselves, always in relation to others, at least to one woman or another. The first self-consciousness of a child arises when he looks at his mother. And then again, when the first time you fall in love, when you get married, when the way in which you look to your wife tells you who you are. Conscience is associated with conscience. It's a great idea. It is not mine. It's very difficult to have an idea that is good and new. I mean, somebody already thought it before. I have taken this from a Jew, a Marxist Jew, Max Horkheimer, in his studies on authority, Autoritäten, Studien über Autoritäten Familie. He explains to us this, and conscience is a presupposition, and the presupposition of conscience is feminine. All men have a conscience, in both the sense of a moral conscience and of an intellectual consciousness, but the free individual, as we think, is born and grows within a family with one father and one mother. And through a complicated system of education and interiorization, he lets himself grow the sense of moral responsibility. The first threat we're standing off is the threat against conscience. That is, against the human free and responsible individual, a threat that is carried out through the dissolution of the place in which conscience is produced, that is, the family. That's the first problem. And if I think now, the first task that we have is to tell the truth about the family. This truth, and in one sense, the truth that it is worthwhile to fall in love, that it is possible to have a love that lasts throughout your whole life, and that to have children is, well, it is a terrible enterprise, but the most beautiful thing you can have to do in life. Nobody does this to the younger generation. I have great hope that the next synod of the family of the Catholic Church will take this issue seriously. It is important for civil liberty. The men who have written the American Constitution all had a conscience and had a family. And if they had not had a family, it would have been more difficult for them to have a conscience. That's the first issue. And that's the first issue in which I am engaged personally in me. And on this we have to talk. It is a political battle for the defense of the family, but it is also a cultural battle. What does it mean to be a man? Can a man be alone, or is a man made to be together? We are individuals, but we are also in relation to others. Without this relation to others, first of all, the relation to the female for the male and vice versa, we cannot be ourselves. Let me conclude this first part with a quotation from Goethe at the end of the Faust. The last words are, das ewig weibliche Tribus in einem. The eternal feminine principle draws us towards heaven, leads us to heaven. The same idea you find in the Divine Comedy of Dante with Beatrice. Second observation. Everybody who speaks more than one language knows the phenomenon of false friends. You use a word, and this word has a meaning different from what you imagine. I remember when I was learning Portuguese, I was in Brazil, I was invited at home by a distinguished Brazilian philosopher, Professor Menendez de Padilha, and they offered me wonderful meals, typical Brazilian dishes, and I am Italian, and I wanted to make a compliment to the lady, and I said, "Oh, todo esquisito." In Italian, squisito is very good. In Portuguese, esquisito seems to be the same. It's very bad. Awful. Thanks God the lady was a very intelligent, charming lady, and immediately realized my mistake, but very, very polite. We have problems of language. We have problems of language between these two sides of the Atlantic. I shall make one example. It's an important example. It is the word capitalism. Here, capitalism is a good word because it means somebody who has made it himself, who has created this enterprise, this company, a self-made man. That's the American idea. In Europe, it was quite different. The industrialization of continental Europe, not of the United Kingdom, but of continental Europe, was done according to the principle of a socialist, Saint-Simon, and of great discipline. It was the Emperor of France, Napoleon III, with the money of the banks, with the contracts given by the state to build battleships, warships, railroads, with very little entrepreneurial risk. And this led to a kind of capitalism that was felt as foreign by vast masses of people. And then the word capitalism acquired a meaning that is different. And we very often discuss meaning in the end the same thing, but understanding in a different word, in a different way, the same word. Now things are changing. In Italy, for instance, we have a grassroots capitalism that has been growing in the last 40 years that is quite different from the old establishment, and is against the old establishment. I think that there is a certain connection between point one and point two. Because a free market society needs a responsible individual. And responsible individual is born in the center. Many people in this country say, "Oh, well, I am for the free market. I don't care about the family." That's wrong. You cannot be for the free market and against the family. If the family collapses, you will not have any free market anymore. You will not have individuals who are able to take the responsibility of being entrepreneurs. And the whole system will go down. There is an essential connection, the kind of man, subject, that stands at the beginning. Because responsibility is conscious. And you cannot have a free market without responsibility. The free market is not a natural fact. It is a human institution and presupposes law, the law of contracts. No law of contracts, no free market. No free individual, no contract. The contract is the way in which the will of two free human beings are brought to want the same thing and to realize the same thing. That's important. The idea that the free market is a kind of catch as you catch can. It's wrong. Free market presupposes morals. And by the way, the idea of responsibility is also important. This might be a further enlargement of the issue. Because we live in a stage in which these foundations we have a right and the duty of telling our fellow countrymen that we cannot go along that way for long. No family, no children, no taxpayers, no pensions. That's because Europe. In the States, the pension system is different, but in the long run it is worse for the United States. You cannot have a functioning pension system and a disrupted family, where there are no families who have no children. And the children that are born will not be educated. So, centrality of the children, sending ones again. And religion has something to do with our relation to the unknown, to danger. There was, now they have changed it in Italian, they did not do that in English. The translation, the Bible, remember, the Bible speaks of God as the God of battles. We don't do that. We don't say that anymore. That's wrong. It was not militaristic. The battle is the moment in which you do all what you can, but you are not sure of the result. And the result is dependent on something different from your efforts. And then you are in the attitude of the next phase. The exercise of responsibility implies always that you come to grips with uncertainty. Our social systems are trying to concentrate all uncertainty in the state, delivering the individual from the necessity of exercise responsibility. And under this burden, the state collapses. To a large extent, the crisis we have in European countries today is the overburdening from the state. The state cannot give you everything. Or rather, the state can give you everything. You surrender all your forces to the state. And this is also to the culture of rights. Everyone speaks of the culture of rights. I am against the culture of rights without the culture of duties that counterbalances. I give you one example. It is a natural right for all girls to find a fiancé, a boyfriend. Can the state concretize this right? Yes. It's enough that every girl is ready to accept the boy that the state gives to her. If they want to preserve the right of free choice, then this right cannot be put in the hands of the state. We have put too many things in the hands of the state. We do not exercise responsibility. And that's the reason why we are less religious, because we are less in relation to reality. Religion is reality. And if you don't stand directly in contact with reality, well, why should we be religious? But if you abandon the level of reality, sooner or later, reality takes revenge, and it may be terrible. Another point. It has been said very well by the orator that preceded me, but I shall repeat. We need a new language. We use a wrong language. We use a bad language. We need a new rhetoric. We must speak for freedom, for liberty. We must not be those who say no. We must be those who say yes. I give you one example. The question of gay marriage. Why should we be against gay marriage? As what regards me, I have nothing against gay marriage. The problem is another. The problem is that in order to say that gays can get married, they are destroying marriage. Because if marriage is just an affective and sexual relationship between two individuals, why should the gays not get married? But marriage is not that. Most emphatically, marriage is an affective and sexual relationship oriented to the procreation of children. Marriage exists because of children. And if you are not willing to have children, if you cannot have children, what is the use of marriage? We are losing the sense of what marriage is. It is as if in order not to discriminate those who are too short, somebody said, well, let's change the rules of basketball so that they can play on an equal footing. It could be something else, no? Basketball. With one difference. We can live without basketball. We cannot live without marriage. Because without children, we have no society anymore. Familia seminario repulge. The family, the seed of the society that Cicero is true. Fourth point. We need a new transatlantic alliance. We need a new transatlantic alliance because the world is changing. In 1945, the United States had 50% of the gross internal product of the world. Today they have 20%. And the European Union has another 20%. 1945, the United States could hold the balance of power in the world. And they cannot. In the coming century, they will remain the major economic power. They will remain the major military power, but the distance between them and the second and the third will be much smaller. At the beginning of the 19th century, China had more or less 1/3 of the population of the earth and 1/3 of the wealth of the earth. At the end of the 20th century, China had, about then, let's say 1980, China had 1/3 of the population, no, a little bit less than 1/3, but only 3% of the produced wealth. Today, they're always more or less 1/3 of the population, 1/4. But they have 11%. And they will continue to grow, and they are right to grow. The United States alone cannot hold the balance. We have seen this in the Ukrainian crisis, in the crisis in the Middle East. We need to understand us better. We need to create a new transatlantic partnership if we want to protect the values we cherish in a world that is changing. And although we are so different from one another, although Americans and Europeans are so widely different from one another, and Europeans also know themselves, by the way, Germans are not Italians, and Italians are not Portuguese, and so forth. Nevertheless, if you look to this Atlantic community from the outside, from Africa, from China, from India, they look remarkably like humans because we share some values. And then we need to work together much more on the new values. We are discussing the importance of West Security, but that's not enough. We need also to understand each other better. We need a new transatlantic alliance. And we must look to the future. We must look to the future. I had the fortune in my life of being a close friend of Francesco Ricci. You don't know Francesco Ricci, of course, but Francesco Ricci was a great man. He was very bold, but he was not a great man for his reasonable sense. He was a man who had a particular, a keen sense of the future. He brought me around the world, meeting people who were in jail, who were persecuted, and who were the leadership of the future in their countries. People like Carlo Bourdieu, people like Lech Wałęsa, people like Václav Havel, and many others. He felt that something was about to change in this country, and it did change. And we should have the same attention for what is going to change in the world. And where do the new leaderships lie? Where are they being formed? And if these are leadership for good, we must make contact with them. We must support them. We must become friends with them. I'll give you some issues of concern. One is Latin America. the world of the future is largely dependent on what Latin America will do, on what Latin America will be. If Latin America finds the path of development, and it seems that they could, or they are rather near to that, or at least not Latin America, an important section, important part of Latin America, and they all move along the path of Chile, along the path of Brazil. By the way, it is really astonishing to look at Lula. Remember Lula? Well, he never said a wise thing, and never did a foolish one. In fact, he has been a very good president, although his rhetoric was bombastic and sometimes terrible. If Latin America chooses the path of Lula and of Chile, then we will indicate or begin with an Atlantic community and a student class. If they choose another way, if they choose the populist way, if they choose the way of Chavez, it will be very little for us. Now I go to the end. We have a problem with the Muslim world. We must talk to them. We need an alliance with the Muslims. The radicals are a small minority. But if we give to them the image of the West as a land in which there are no values, no families, in which God is forgotten, well, the vast majority of Muslims, in the long run, will move to the radicals. Here we will have a battle. It is a cultural battle, not a military. The military is important, but you cannot do all the military. You know the famous sentence of Talleyrand. With bayonets, you can do anything. Only you cannot sit on them. We have to, I shall be in a few weeks in Abu Dhabi. They are friends, you can understand them, you can work with them. But we must tell them what is our identity. If our identity is an identity without religion and without ethics, they will not work with us. And we will throw the United States at life. And now, we go back to the beginning. And somebody has written, in my beginning is my end. And we go back to the beginning. What is our identity? Can we preserve this thing? Do we want to preserve and defend our identity? Today, there is a new trend, new movement, evolutionary evolution. But if you look really at the history of evolution, you see that evolution is made of many blind alleys, and only a few success stories. You have been a success story of evolution, but we, Western civilization, will easily become, in this century, a blind alley, whether this takes place or not. Thank you.
Speakers for, I think, putting lots of food for thought on the table. Before we digest that meal together and through conversation, we'll have an opportunity to physically nourish ourselves with a break. I understand we're going to break till 11:15. We're just a few minutes behind getting started with the break, but maybe we'll squeeze it from 30 minutes to 25. Let's aim to be back in our seats at 11:15 so we actually can have the discussion between